Look, you got your rental property, things going great, you got your tenant in, you are a rock star landlord, and all of a sudden, you have a maintenance problem. What do? Well, many people take two different paths here. The first path, well, probably three. The first path is they do it themselves because they think that they now should be in charge of all the maintenance in their property when they've never even done this before, but now they think that this is the part that they should be doing on their own. The second thing they do is they hire the cheapest person possible because they don't want to pay any money because they didn't account for that in their numbers. And I know because I did this many times. And then the third thing that they do is they hire a professional, they get it done, and they never have to worry about it again. Now, can you guess which one of these is probably the most successful route to be a long-term real estate investor? Well, it's not the first two. Doing it yourself, number one, is never a solution because number one, you just created a job. Number two, you think that now you know how to fix a toilet, do electrical wiring, do all these things that you've never ever tried to attempt before, but now because you own a rental property, which by the way, is the time that you need to make sure you do everything legal, this is when you need to really think about what you're doing, why you're doing it, and how you can be the most successful with the long-term strategy of owning a rental property. Doing the second one is also a recipe for disaster. How do I know? Because I did this and I used to always try to find the cheapest person. And what ended up happening was the cheapest person ended up costing me about 3 times as much because number one, it's never done correctly. Number two, I had to invest time. I had to go meet the guy at Home Depot or wherever. I had to pay him up front. Then I had to chase him to get the work done. He would do half the work and then he would always have some sort of problem in his life. A DUI, someone stole his truck, someone stole his tools. It was one thing after another. And yeah, you may get away with it once or twice, but I'm telling you, doing this over and over again by using the cheapest person is only gonna give you the cheapest product. And you are gonna lose clientele, meaning your tenants, at some point because they're gonna go back and have to fix things, number one. Number two, they're gonna go have to deal with the tenant issue because now you gotta coordinate tenant schedules and your schedule. And number three, your time is now wrapped up in this because these people are doing this off the side, weekends. You gotta coordinate all this and you're the one doing all this. I have learned, now I'm not saying pay full retail, but what I am saying is I have learned that if you pay the correct amount for the services done, you will have a much better result than trying to do it either on your own or doing it cheaply. So you know what? Make sure you get good contractors, get good vendors, get people, establish relationships. Even if you just have one property, it's okay. You can still get someone to work with you or at least create the relationship so that when you need them, it's not the first time conversation. And you let them know what your plans are, you let them know what your goals are, and you set the relationships up with them so that when you do need them, it's not a first time conversation and they don't screw you by jacking up the prices too high, hopefully. But sometimes in investment groups and other things, there will be some contractors that, number one, you'll hear about you should stay away from. But number two, you also hear about contractors that do a pretty good job. And when you're tied to an investment group, you'll normally at least get a better price range, or you may get a better level of service at least because you're doing it in volume. So I recommend, from years of experience, don't do it by yourself, number one. Number two, don't hire the cheapest person. And number three, just hire the professional. Let them do what they do. You're expecting to get your rent as a professional. You should expect to treat the client, meaning your tenant, the same way.